everyone. Welcome to Through the Struggle. Today's topic is leaving the past behind and getting rid of toxic people. And when we mean toxic people, we're meaning friendships, family, acquaintances, etc., etc. You guys kind of get the point. Any relationship, pretty much at all. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about, first we're going to touch base on our past situations so you guys can get a little more insight of things that we've been through, things that we have been through to lead up to leaving it in the past. I mean, you guys really can't get too much information if we don't share a little bit. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of something about me. Me, growing up, I was pretty much between my mom and my grandparents my whole entire life. And it started from when I was first born. And for a point of time, I stayed with my mom for, I believe it was 8 years straight, if I'm not mistaken. And living with her was okay at first, but then, I mean, she had kind of toxic people involved in her life. And me growing up watching that, the toxic situation, like her husband, he was a drug, he used alcohol pretty much. He was a very bad alcoholic. Not only that, he was very abusive when he did drink his alcohol. And it was to my mom and to me and to my sisters to a certain extent. It was hard watching it, but it became normalized to me. So when my mom moved on to another relationship where he was also toxic to her, calling her out her name, beating her, disrespecting her, and her staying with him, I kind of normalized it again. Like, I just thought that was normal. As long as he wasn't bashing her head and I didn't feel like nothing was wrong. But a situation happened where the same guy sexually assaulted me, and I believe that's when I started to feel like that's when the toxicity started, like, with everything. To me, that's how I felt about it, but not knowing that my whole life was toxic. But he sexually assaulted me, and me being a daughter and me expecting my mother to react in a better way, a bad reaction came out of it, and I ended up getting kicked out, and I had to stay with my grandmother again. And throughout that time of staying with my grandmother, I was going through a lot of situations where I was in and out of hospitals, where I was in and out of programs to help me with my mental illnesses, to help me with the PTSD, all the other stuff. And I used drugs as a coping mechanism. Not talking about no hardcore drugs. I just smoked weed, guys. That is it. But I started finding myself smoking more. Like I became like I have to smoke all day long to numb the pain. And I was trying to do that behind my grandparents' back. And with that being said, me trying to slow that down, I kept letting these toxic people, my mom and them, back inside my life. I kept trying to find a way for me to be able to get past it so I could have a relationship with her. I started talking to her more. I started going over her house. And I started going over there while he was there, pretending like nothing happened because I wanted a relationship with her. And it was toxic the whole way because right after I left her house, I would go home. I would do something like self-harm and smoke hella weed and end up back in the hospital somewhere. And that's, to me, that was more, it was painful for me. It was painful. It was toxic. It was crazy, but I just wanted to have that relationship with her. My grandmother was a very big help in certain situations, but because she wants the whole family to be cool, it was more so like, I think you should talk to her, or I think you should talk to them, or I think you should do this, that, and the third. And it became very painful. Like, okay, you're supposed to be my protector. I love you to death, but I know you mean no harm, but you're trying to bring me back in that situation. And me, at that point in time, I was very vulnerable and I was very gullible, so I would continue going back through that same cycle, being hurt, working my way through getting over it, going back to the same situation, being hurt again, getting through it again, going over it. Like, I went through that whole cycle. And it wasn't just even with my mom, it was with my family too, because I have a lot of family. If you guys don't know that I am mixed, so some of my family members are racist. And when I would come around, certain things would be said about me. Like, I would be called the N-word. I would get treated differently. And it's not even just that. It's because we were raised also different, too. Like, I was raised more so in the ghetto, like in the hood situation. So they looked at me like this hood person. Like, you have a short temper. You like to fight. You this and the third. So you're going to get it in this category while we grew up suburban and all this other stuff. And it wasn't my whole family, because I'm not trying to make it seem like it was all of them. It was just certain family members, like certain people that was doing that stuff to me. And I became more anger filled. And that's when I started to release more anger. Like, I used to fight a lot. I used to be very disrespectful to people. I started hanging with the wrong crowd of girls, and all that would do is me trying to have friends would influence me in the wrong ways. Like, I almost got arrested with one of my friends because of something I didn't do that she and her friends, her and her boyfriend or whoever was doing. I ended up getting in trouble for that. I started smoking more. I started drinking. I started staying out when my grandmother told me it wasn't allowed. I cut off all my hair. I started wearing weave. Like, I started doing hella stuff that I wouldn't have did if I would have never been in that situation. But because I was so vulnerable and wanted more friends, I started hanging with the wrong people. Right. And then there was a situation where I started hanging with people who smoked but also did other drugs. But I never indulged in the drugs. Like, crazy ass drugs. I never did that. But I would start being around them, and that's when I picked up the tobacco habit of smoking cigarettes very bad. And then that just made me look even worse because I would get in trouble at school. I would stop doing schoolwork. I would stop doing a lot of stuff. And it wasn't just that single friend. It was multiple. Like, I have a history of me when growing up dealing with the wrong people, dealing with the wrong females, dealing with the wrong crowd of people. Like, there would be this person over here who's doing so good, boring, don't want to do anything, just wants to stay at home, chill, relax. And then there would be these people who like to party, like to drink, like to do this other stuff. And I would just find myself going to them. And that's how I've been my whole life because I was raised with it, being around toxic people. There was a lot of people. My mom had a lot of friends who were like drug addicts. Well, not friends, but, people who was inside of our house a lot. There was people who were strippers, prostitutes, smoking all the time. That's one thing that was normalized in our house. Everybody smoked. So it was normal. Like, it was no big deal. But there was prostitutes, drugs, strippers. There was my mom sold drugs at a point in time. Abuse, a lot of situations like that situation. People who use drugs a lot. There was a lot of heroin addicts, crackhead addicts, everybody that was inside of our house. So being around that toxic situation became normal. And that's all I knew. But once I got out of it, when you came home, it was like a whole situation. Like, it was a whole different because I realized it. Like, my eyes started to open a little more. And that's when I started to, like, brush away from more toxic people. Like, I cut off all my friends as soon as we got together. Yeah. Because I peeped that they weren't out good for me. So, I mean, that's a little insight of the past that I had separately without my husband. And then I'm going to let him talk about what he went through before we got back together, and they would talk about what we did together.
Early on in my life, I always hung with the wrong people, mostly because I didn't have family. Mm-hmm. Like, the difference between me and you was you had toxic family. My family just was absent. Yeah. Like, the only people I actually knew as family was my mom, brothers and sisters, and we were so different. Like, I was not like anyone in my family. I was completely different. Like, my mindset was different. I acted out different. So I found myself hanging with the wrong crowd. Yeah. And when I first got down with the so-called gang or the hood, whatever you want to call it, it was cool. You get a lot of attention. People want to be around you and stuff like that. But after a while, you start to realize that it's not so fun. When you start catching cases, start going to jail. When you start, like you said, doing drugs. And these drugs, we're doing these drugs at 15, 16 years old. It's like, it's messing with your body and your mind. Yeah. Like, it's not okay for a kid to do drugs like that. Even smoking weed. You shouldn't be smoking weed at 15, 14. You shouldn't be doing it just because your mind is not fully developed. Your brain is not developed yet. So, yeah, I was hanging with these people a lot just to get some sort of comfort, I believe, or just to, like, feel like I actually have family, a group of peers who actually care about me. But as the years went on, well, not years, months went on, you actually start to see that these people are not really for you. And it's crazy just because that once I got so deep in the gang, deep in the streets, I started going to jail a lot. Yeah. I ended up finding myself in jail because of a situation that I did not do, the crime I did not commit, but I found myself not wanting to tell on anybody. I don't want to be the one labeled a snitch. I don't want to be the one in the hood to be called, you feel me? You know how that go in the hood. But yeah. I was put in that position just because I was hanging with the wrong people. These same people who I thought was riding with me too, like, I ain't about to tell. None of us going to tell. They end up turning their backs on me and telling on me. So I end up sitting in jail for all this time. And that's the biggest thing about the past. my biggest thing about that is my reputation. I was known for fighting a lot, like you. A lot of people on the west side of Cleveland know me. Like, a lot of people who are going to watch this podcast know what I was into, because it wasn't that long ago. It was about 2012 to about 15, 16, something like that. So it wasn't too long ago, but it was just a lifestyle that I did not want to continue to live. But once I got stuck in it, I was stuck.
Right.
Because once you get in this lifestyle, there's no way out. Usually the ways out are you're going to end up dead or in jail. And parents always tell you this. It's like a cliche saying, if you get in the streets, you're going to end up dead or in jail. But it's actually true. Most people I know, a lot of friends, a couple enemies I grew up with. Because people don't realize you grow up with your enemies too. Like, I didn't literally watch some of my enemies grow up just because we've been beefing so long.
Right.
So these people, enemies, friends, stuff like that, end up dying or sent in jail for 15, 20, 25 years.
And that's not what you want for yourself.
Yeah, I didn't want it because, like, I always felt, even when I was in the streets hanging with these people, I wasn't like them.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have that lifestyle they had. I didn't want to be a quote-unquote rapper. I didn't want to be a trapper. I didn't want to do that. I had a whole mindset of I want to go to school, do something with business, nurse, stuff like that. I had a whole different mindset. But just because I wanted to be accepted for so long, these people accept me. These people love me.
Yeah.
People love showing fake love. And when you're 15, 16, you can't distinguish fake love from real love. Mm-mm. That's how a lot of females get caught up being pregnant so young. Or a lot of niggas getting caught up in the streets at 14, 13, 12 because they never experienced love before. So when your parents don't love you, your brothers and sisters don't really give a fuck about you because you're not like them.
Yeah.
You don't got a daddy in your life. You don't have a father. All you know is, okay, they showing me something. I'm feeling some type of emotions towards this, so it got to be love. Yeah. They got to love me. You feel me? These my niggas now. This is my family. I die for them. But not knowing they grew up completely different than you. They know how to put that front on. They know how to, you feel me, trick people into getting down with what they want, making them do what they want them to do. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, all that happened, the wrong people. And then my family situation with my mom, my brothers and sisters, it was so bad. Like, it was so bad to the point that I would rather be in jail.
Right.
Sitting in jail than being in that household. And it was just like, I knew I had to do something about it. I knew eventually I had to change this pattern. I don't want to just continue to live this life. I don't want to be at home, so I'm in the streets. I'm in the streets, something bad gonna happen, so now I'm in jail. And it's just back and forth, all the way until one day I was gonna end up getting killed or sent in jail for 15 years.
And that would have been horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody wants that for themselves. And growing up, especially with my family, mental illness runs deep inside my family. Like, right. They're bipolar. There's some that's schizophrenic. There's some that's habitual liars. There's some that's a lot of stuff. So dealing with that situation, you probably don't want to deal with it, for the rest of your life. And that's something similar both of our families have. They both have mental illnesses and situations in that aspect. And it's not saying that, we're not saying that both of our childhoods were totally bad, because there probably was good moments.
Yeah, it was good moments.
It was good moments. I'm not going to say, okay, so I'm not going to exactly make it seem like my life was just, like pins and needles in my hands and stuff. No.
Yeah, because there's some people out here who's really going through it.
Yeah. To me, I feel like our parents didn't try hard enough to me, but at the same time, there was probably moments like, there's certain good qualities of situations too. But it's just when you put in that position, the good, the bad outweighs the good.
Yeah, and when you're a child and so much bad is happening, you tend to block out the good parts.
Yeah.
So even though our parents will say, remember this happened, we went here, we did this, so many bad things happen. It's like, I don't remember doing that. All I remember was getting my ass whooped, you in the house smoking some weed, me on the streets going to jail, stuff like that.
Yeah, because the majority of my childhood, especially when my mom was married, mainly what I remember is my mother. She kept the house clean, kept our clothes, kept us fed, kept us up in clothes and stuff, right? But all I remember, truthfully, is her going out when she was selling drugs, her going out when she was doing what she was doing, stripping, all the other stuff, and her husband being sloppy drunk, pissy drunk, being disrespectful, beating on her, whooping me, my sisters, me having to clean up piss off the couch while he pisses, like when my mom's gone, him making me stay up, and like all I remember is the bad stuff in that situation. And when my people start to come to me like, well, it wasn't that bad, this and the third, y'all can't relate. Like my sisters, like they had mommy and daddy. Their mom and their dad was married. My mom and their dad was married. So they became when they were wanted. I was not wanted. So they have a different view on what I have a view on. I feel like my childhood was horrible. They feel like their childhood was great. And that's probably because they were raised a little different than me. And that's what caused diversity with us family. Like how you said your sister, your brothers and sisters, they basically like, you're not like us, so this and the third. Mm-hmm. That's how mine is. Like, if you don't agree with what we say, I'm not fucking with you. And
it would be different if on both aspects of my family and your family, if they had some good morals, like, okay, you don't agree with this, you can't, you feel me, I don't want to be around you. But everything that you want me to agree with is not going to benefit me. It's like, it's not a good thing. I don't want to be in the streets. I don't want to smoke weed. I don't agree with certain things like that. I don't want to be that type of person. You feel me?
But then when you first ever, and another thing is, my family's addicted to smoking weed. So that's what causes me to, like, when I was smoking weed, like, I did not want to get over it. Like, I didn't want to stop smoking weed, but I did at the same time. So it becomes addictive, and that's not who you want to be your whole entire life.
Yeah, and one thing I want to make known, I'm not bashing anyone who smokes weed.
Oh, no.
Because I believe that weed is a medicine. Mm-hmm. I believe weed can help a lot of things. But I believe it's also a such thing as addiction. And weed can trigger addiction. Like, it's some people out here who can smoke weed recreation, however you say it, like just for fun, and people who smoke it for medical reasons, and it will be all cool. But there's some people who does the same thing and get addicted to it, and once that addiction kicks in, you start abandoning everything else. You start failing as a parent, you start failing in school, you start doing everything. You feel me? Everything start falling down.
You rather smoke weed than clean your house.
Weed becomes your number one priority. Yeah.
So I mean, when we got back together, it was the same traits, but we both quit a lot of stuff. Yeah. And when we got back together, like, I cut off all my friends. I didn't have any friends. So me hanging with the toxic people was gone. And it was just me and you at that point.
Right.
But we did dibble and dabble in a lot of stuff that was toxic, not only for ourselves, but to other people too. So we're going to touch base on that, or?
Yeah. Well, when me and my wife got back together, at first it was all happy, first couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. But after that, we started to realize that we weren't 13, 14 anymore.
No.
I was 17. My wife was 16. So we are basically young adults because we grew up so rough. We had to grow up so quick. So me and my wife started selling drugs.
Yeah.
Selling Percocets, other drugs I don't really want to speak on because, I don't want to get in trouble. But we started selling these drugs and start making money. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's something called addiction. Some people can sell drugs and just, feel me, I got my money and it is what it is. But some people get addicted to that money. And me and my wife end up getting addicted to the money. So we started making a lot of money to be 16, 17.
Yeah.
A couple $1,000s. And that, you feel me? We start feeling ourselves.
We wanted more. We wanted to keep doing more. And all that was doing is causing the addicts that we were selling to get worse in their situation. So that's when I said we were toxic to certain people.
Yeah. So it's not like we're saying that we're better than anyone because we're not doing this. We're just saying that we've been through it so many times. We know how to deal with it. It's just like, I'll tell a story about my uncle. I really don't want to speak too much on it because a case is still going on. But he got addicted to selling drugs.
The money.
He made a lot of money. He sold one bad batch of drugs and killed someone. You feel me? And then after he killed someone, now he's sitting in jail right now, fighting for his life because of a mistake he made. He wasn't trying to harm anyone.
All he was trying to do was take care of his kids.
Yeah, make some money. He got a couple. He had a couple kids. Take care of his kids, and it all went downhill. So to speak on leaving the past behind, because I think we spoke a lot on the past.
We didn't talk about homelessness.
Yeah. We weren't homeless after all that.
Yeah.
Let's speak on this before we go on to that. Me and my wife ended up going homeless right after she found out she was pregnant. Like, it's different from being homeless when it's just me and her, because we can make ends meet. Me and you know how to hustle. We know how to finesse, but...
And it wasn't our first rodeo.
Yeah, we've been homeless before, but with a child, it's different.
Yeah, whether you're pregnant or not. I mean, I was pregnant. I was 3 months pregnant when we went homeless. Mm-hmm. And those to me were the worst and longest moments of our lives. Well, in my life. I found out I was pregnant April 25th, and not too long we went homeless. We had a 3-car window. Like, literally.
Never mind.
We had a 3-car window, guys. We had no back windshield. What is that? Back shield? Windshield.
No, you said we had a 3-car window. We had a
3 window car. My bad, guys. We had a 3. We had a 3-window car, guys. We didn't have no back windshield. We didn't have no driver's side window. Mm-mm. And we didn't have no passenger side back window. So, and this was pretty, I mean, it was April. It was April, May type situation. Mm-hmm. And we had so much problems. We caused so many problems for ourselves in the streets and with other people. Yep. We had nowhere to go. And this car cannot go on the freeway. This car cannot back up. We had to rig it up with a belt. And we didn't have any money. We'll get 5s and 10s here and there. And we'll literally debate on whether we're going to eat that day or we're going to put gas in the car to get us where we need to go.
Oh, man, that was horrible.
That was crucial. And it was to the point where I was debating on whether or not, like, we should, not to get an abortion, but, like, whether we should give the baby away. And it was sad because that's all we wanted was him.
Right.
And we was homeless for a few months. And that's when I feel like toxic people showed us who they really were.
Right.
We asked, can we sleep in people's driveways? I know it's probably wrong. Like, okay, y'all probably thinking, like, we don't have to let you do this. But we don't look out for so many people. We just asked, like, can we just have somewhere that we don't want to sleep in your house? Can we just park in the driveway? Can we park close to your house? Or can we do this? Just in order for us to just make it to the next day. Can we use your microwave to cook our noodles? Like that situation. And we went through that for a few months. And then we end up finding somewhere eventually. But those to us was the most crucialest moments. And that's when I realized who was real and who was fake.
Yeah, same thing. Because that's when I actually realized that a lot of people I called my friends, a lot of people I looked out for, or just, you know, it wasn't what I thought it was. And it was sad to me because these people I grew up with from 10, 11, people that I looked out for so many times. People that when I was trapping, getting all this money and shit, I was you feel me? I was making sure they ate, making sure they had some food in their stomachs.
Every Friday we would have a party.
Mm-hmm.
We'll supply the weed, the Percocets, the lean. We would do all this, and you guys would come through. Look out, y'all are our best friends. And then as soon as we stop doing all that stuff, y'all leave. How does that make y'all feel? Like y'all fake, and that's the end result.
It's crazy because if we speak on it now in front of those people, they'll just act like it never happened.
Or they'll just ignore it.
Yeah, because they know what happened was wrong. Mm-hmm. They know that they could have at least looked out. Because you feel me? You don't have to do anything.
You don't have to do nothing for me.
But I didn't have to do anything for you. That's how I feel about that situation.
Yeah, some more situations is when our friends and family. Okay, so my friends and family didn't like him. Certain friends and family. I'm not gonna say exactly all my friends and family didn't like him, and majority of his friends and some of his family didn't like me, and they will go back and forth in each other's ear while we were young, and start saying stuff like start trying to make the relationship disappear, and that would start causing toxic situations. We started arguing, we started fighting more, we started going through it, and people enjoyed it. Like they would just go in my ear, like, you know, all he's gonna do is continue being the same thing. He's probably gonna end up back in jail, and you're gonna go with him. And in his case, it would be like, she's a hoe, don't fuck with her, or she's not benefiting you for nothing. She's gonna end up getting you killed or in jail. Like it would be back and forth situations, and that's another thing that was causing toxic. How do you say that word?
No, don't even ask me. You know,
it's
I can't
toxic.
pronounce it.
Okay, guys, y'all exclude I can't pronounce certain words.
Yeah, but that same situation, it was family and friends.
Yeah,
a lot of my friends, I don't know why. This is the craziest part. I don't know why, but a lot of my friends didn't like my wife. I think it was because I stopped being in the street so much. I stopped being naive and stupid. Because one thing me and my wife both did, like the people who were toxic to me, I could not see it, but she could. Like she would tell me, like, bro, those are not your friends. You need to chill. You need to fall back a little bit, and vice versa. Like I see it, like you feel me. They don't really fuck with you like that. But we could not see it. Mm-hmm. So
it would cause a lot of division with us.
A lot of my friends would see this stuff and like, I don't like her, bruh. You shouldn't be with her, nigga. We ain't, you feel me? We ain't doing that. But I'm always thinking like, why? Like I always thought like, why don't y'all like my wife? But it was just because they seen the future. They could see it. I couldn't see it. Oh, yeah, she's trying to make him do better. Oh, yeah, she wants him to get out the street so he can become a better person. And I couldn't see it until recently, actually. Within the last 6 months to a year, I just started to see that, oh, man, my wife been saying this since 2014.
Since you came home.
In 2014, 2015.
My second day spending with you, I'm like, yeah, you know good, he know good, he know good, she know good. Like, I started seeing this shit, but because I didn't want to step out of my place, I ain't say it right away.
Right.
But they didn't. I never seen in both aspects, both situations. I never seen who I be with affect you.
Right.
That, like, how?
I never got that.
How does it matter? Why? Because I'm happy. Because I'm not okay. I'm probably dabbling in the bad shit, but I'm not doing as bad as I was just doing. Okay, this and the third, but it's none of y'all business, whatever we go through. And all it did, like I said, caused us to have divisions in each other.
Right.
We were toxic for each other at a point in time because of that situation.
I wouldn't really say toxic. I would just say
we
bad.
were in bad situations.
Because one thing I believe is that being toxic and being bad is two different things. You can't fix toxic.
Yeah.
You being toxic, you will never be untoxic. It's like poison. You can't make poison into something healthy. But being bad, you feel me, you can fix it.
Well, yeah, take that back. We wasn't toxic. We were bad. All we wanted to do was argue and fight. But that's been us since even when we broke up. So, that was just a normal situation for us. But because of these people in both of our ears and us being so young at the time and naive and not seeing it, it caused us to go through certain situations that probably would have been avoided if they wasn't involved. So... But we're going to give you guys a little tips on how to leave the past behind you guys. Main thing, our first thing was we found God. I know so a lot of people don't believe in God, but we highly believe in God. Like, we are full-blown Christians. We probably do stuff like get tattoos and stuff, but we're not like crazy Christian freaks, but we are Jesus. We are all about God. And that's all who brought us out of every situation was God. So we leaned on God. When we got married, our foundation was God, and that's probably how we started. Our relationship ended up working out more.
Right.
How our marriage ended up going good. Our kids are wonderful. Like, we found God. I'm not telling you guys what to do. You guys all have your guys' religion preferences, but I just wanted to make it known that God was our main source.
And even if you're not a Christian, I know there's a lot of different people with different religions, but I strongly believe that a higher power will always make everything better. Just because... To be healthy, you have to be mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually healthy.
Yeah.
It all works in one. Even when in nursing school, you get taught that.
Yeah.
Like your spirit, you have to be in high spirits. And the only way for your spirit to be healthy is a higher power. You feel me? So even if you don't believe in God or Jesus, as you want to put it, you feel me? Do a little research on that. Like, find out what you do believe in and start holding fast to it.
Yeah. So, do you have any tips on how to leave the past behind?
With me, the craziest thing is, for me to leave the past behind, it took years. Like the last bit of my past just got left behind a few months ago.
Yep.
So it's not going to be fast. It's going to be a long process because these people you grew up with, these are close friends. The situations you did in the past, they're habitual. You did them so much, that's all you know. So whenever something bad happens, you want to resort back to it. Like a few months ago, me and my wife was low on money. We didn't go broke because we know how to manage our money now. But we want low on money, and the first thing I thought was, let's go sell some drugs. Let's go get this. Let's go get that. But I had to catch myself because I know that's not me anymore.
We have children to look after.
Yes, I have 3 children. I have a son and 2 daughters. How am I going to look? Even though my kids can't perceive it yet.
Our son can. He's 3.
Yeah, but I don't want to know myself that I did that when my kids were here.
Right.
You know, so I think one big tip would be that to be patient. And while being patient, evaluate your past. Delete all social media and just look back on who do you feel was beneficial and not beneficial. Because once you get to the point in life that I'm at, if you were a good friend or not, if you're not benefiting me as a friend, and I don't mean like money wise, but if you're not supporting me emotionally, if you're not helping build me up, if you're not someone I can speak to or talk to, you don't have no business in my life.
Right.
Like, and that's to family, friends, mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters. Because I'm at a point now it's all strictly business. I'm at a building phase of my life. I want to build this empire with me and my wife, you know. So we're still at the beginning stages, but the biggest thing is getting rid of all that toxicity out the past, because the past can creep back up on you. Like the past, your past is like poison because it's so close to you. Even though it could be 20, 30 years in the future, you look back one time, you're right back in that same position.
Exactly. And if you die in that situation, it's over with.
Yeah, and you don't want to be in the streets, get out the streets, get put in a bad situation just for the time being. Look back, go back a little bit and die, and get killed. Because people hate, people know that you're doing good. Like every enemy you had, every old friend you had, all those toxic people are still going to watch you. I bet you right now that when we release this podcast, about probably every one of the people we cut off is going to watch it. Just to hate on it, just because they can't support us. Because
couple statuses might be made.
Yeah, because they know that we're doing good. And it's crazy because I know I don't want to go too long, but I really don't want to tell this story, but I'm gonna just tell it. It was our very first church. Me and my wife went to this church on West 25th in Cleveland, Ohio, and we were very genuine people. We gave a lot because our overseer, who passed away, taught us to give. When you give, you receive. And it's not just because he said it, because we actually seen it happen. We actually gave a lot and we actually received back a lot. So he passed away, and we continue to be these same people, give a lot, just doing good things, and God started to bless us.
Yeah.
We start getting blessed with money, not only money, but spiritual blessings. So we're just saying happy. You know, when you're genuinely happy, you have this glow on you because you're just happy. I'm in a good position. And a lot of people in that church started to hate on us.
Right.
For no reason. We gave them money. Instead of them being thankful for us giving them money, it was, are they selling drugs again? How are they getting all this money? I don't think they're really with God. I don't think they're really doing what they're supposed to do. So it's like, it's not even just, it's the people you will least expect.
People you call your family.
Yeah.
I consider these people as my friends and my family. I had these people over at my house at least once a week eating with me. Potlucks come, I'm bringing stuff. I'm coming to every church event. I'm looking out. If you in the wrong, I don't care. I don't want it back. I don't even want you to talk about it in the church. I did it because I love you. And all it did was end up in a big commotion. And it caused diversity. And it made us church hurt to the point where we felt away from God for a little bit. We're just now getting back in tune with it. But that stuff was considered church hurt. And that's what you call toxic people. Like toxicity, however you pronounce it. But
It'd be the least expected people.
Yeah.
You won't believe you walk into a church house as young people. We were like 17, 18.
When we met Overseer, it was before I went to jail the second time. So it was
16, 17.
I was 16, you were 17, and then we came back.
When we got married, you just turned 18.
Yeah.
And I just turned, I was still 18.
Yeah.
I wasn't 19 yet.
So yeah,
we were young people. And these people were old people, but there was a lot of young people too. Mm-hmm. And these young people, they just, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. It's just toxic. You will know it's toxic when you don't know why this person is being so toxic to you. Mm-hmm. You want, like, it's never a source. It's always just like they said, being jealous is a sin. It's like something that can creep up in you. Jealousy, envy, greed, and things like that. And you just don't want to find yourself in a position of being friends with people like that, because they will take you down. That's their main goal, is to take you down.
They'll take you down and hurt you. I only have a few tips on leaving the past behind. How you guys can start the process over. How I dealt with it was, I accepted it for what it was. That's one thing. Another thing is, I stopped giving a fuck about what people thought anymore. Amen. I didn't care about my damn reputation. I didn't care about being tough. I didn't care about none of that situation anymore. And I focused me changing on one specific thing. And that was me, my husband, and our child. Mainly our children. We only had one child at the time when I first wanted to change. I have 3 kids. My last kid is when I finally realized it. Like it was time. It was time, because I want them to have a good life. So you focus your goal on your child, on your future and your career. You focus it on that. Stop giving a fuck what everybody thinks. Stop giving a damn about anything and just focus on that specific thing.
Yeah, I would say make a list, because this is another thing me and you did.
Yeah.
Make a list of all your goals. Because some of these goals me and my wife already achieved.
We just don't brag about it.
Yeah, or goals that we're so close to achieving financially, educationally, mentally, and spiritually, that people would never think we would have did.
No.
People wouldn't
counted us out.
Counted us out. They did. So we made this list and we just blacked out the noise. Because what's going to happen once you leave that past behind? It's like the past is going to keep dragging at you.
Yeah.
It's going to keep pulling at you, trying to pull you back. You just got to keep on going.
And it's not easy.
It's not.
Because once you start to move on with your life and people start to see you do better, that's when situations start coming up, and that's your test on whether you're going to be strong or you're going to fail at it and go back to the same stuff. We got tested with that situation. I don't know if everybody who's watching this podcast, if you guys know who we are on Facebook, you guys seen the Facebook drama that was going on. There was 2 different incidents that went down. There was one with an old friend, and then there was one with my specific family. And we're not going to talk in detail about what happened. It was basically more so jealousy. We didn't want to give on the friendship situation. We didn't want that person in our lives anymore because they were too toxic. They kept asking for stuff. They kept disrespecting me. They started, it was a lot of situations being very disrespectful, speaking on stuff that they had no business speaking on our children, all because we didn't want to give some money or because you couldn't speak on the phone for long periods of time. And it became worse.
And it's sad because this is the reason this person stayed around so long. I knew he was toxic. Everyone who was around me always told me, bro.
To this day, nobody messes with him.
Yeah, bro, we don't mess with him no more. You cut him off because he's not no good. So
he started spreading rumors, being disrespectful.
Yeah, it was one of my best friends. Me and him went through a lot. When we got down with the hood, we both got down together and things like that. So I kept him around for a long time. He seemed like he was changing, but that's what's going to happen with toxic people. They're going to hit you up and act like I'm doing good too. You doing good, I am too. So shit. And me not being toxic, I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, bro. Now you can come back around. We're gonna be cool. Let's kick it. But the whole time he's still bitter and miserable because he's really not doing good. You feel me?
See, what happened was he ended up about to have a baby, and he was going through some toxic situations too. And us being who we are, genuine friends, we helped get a house. We helped get money, their situation under control before that baby got there. And all it did was now he started feeling himself, and he started thinking that we felt like we were better than him, and he started throwing shots. And it was done from there. He started bringing drama into you didn't even have with people. He started bringing it into, and that was a toxic situation. We cut it off immediately. We fell victim to the Facebook situation, but then we eventually just cut it off.
Like we said, yeah, we're strong Christians, but sometimes we do fall. Because stuff like that, like I said, I just recently got over my past. Because people will get me so mad, I will resort back. Mm-hmm. But I catch myself, so I won't fall too far in it, and I'll come back up. But now, my biggest test is, like we said, we're making this podcast because that we've been through a lot, but we're still going through a lot of stuff.
We want you guys to follow us.
Yeah, we just want you guys to follow us, give us advice. Share with me how did you deal with it? Because I'm finally feeling free now. Since I cut my whole past off.
Friends,
all these people, family. My family was a big issue too. Everyone is cut off. Now it's just me, my wife, and my kids. And we're moving forward from there.
My situation with the family situation, I'm going to brush over that because we were running out of time. The whole situation on Facebook, it was a little tiny incident that got blown out of proportion by my siblings. And to me, I feel like because I'm an adult and my mother being an adult too, she's supposed to put that situation in check. Like, y'all both in the wrong, y'all arguing, leave it alone. But instead, she sided with the wrong person, and it got blown up. Now everybody is in our business. Everybody's trying to add me on Facebook. Everybody's trying to add and on to the drama. And I kept feeding into it, putting business out there that I had no business putting out there. Certain situations I shouldn't have spoken on, but hey, I mean, they took it to the maximum, disrespecting my kids and my family. And I honestly feel like there's no way that I can go back to being friends with them. I mean, being cool with them again. So I cut that situation off. I blocked everybody that knows them, blocked everybody that had a influence on bringing that toxic stuff in me. And I just did this a few months ago, guys. I just did it. And I recently just had an incident where they tried to come back in. You know, like I was on the phone with my grandmother and she was like, hey, so-and-so wants to talk to you again. I'm like, no, I can't do it.
Yeah, it's over with.
It took too long. But we're going to just brush over some tips and then we're going to go.
Okay, my tips to keeping toxic people out is, first of all, before you become friends with people, evaluate them.
Yeah.
Like, make sure you know they're up to your standard. Because you don't have to be bougie to have standards. Like, you can have standards with friends and family. So what I did was I deleted all my social media, like I said the first time, and I just evaluated everyone I was talking to, the people I call my closest friends and family. I realized they wasn't really that close. And my conclusion was the only people who are with me is my wife and my kids. But sometimes people do have genuine friends who actually care for them, and they do have bad relationships you can actually mend and fix them. So first, get all those relationships together, sort out the toxic ones and the bad ones. The toxic people, cut them all off. Like, don't have a conversation with them, just cut them off. It's over with. The bad friendships, relationships, and stuff like that, have a deep conversation with them and let them know that I don't feel comfortable continuing this relationship because, give them a reason, and see if they will be willing to fix it. If they fix it, you feel me? It can be a good situation, but if they don't, cut them off too.
Sometimes fixing it is not an option at that moment.
Right.
How I found it is right now, me and my husband, what we're doing is we're separating ourselves from all the toxicity, however you pronounce that word. We're separating ourselves right now. We're not saying that there's certain people who's in your life that you cut off, that we're not saying we're never going to speak to them again. It's just at this moment, we're getting ourselves together. At this moment, I don't feel like it's best. Sometimes you have to just cut it where it's at. You have to leave it alone. There's no I don't have anybody, honestly, I feel like I'm going to speak to again. But eventually, you got to reach that moment. Don't mean because the person is toxic, you don't love them no more. That's another thing. Don't feel like, oh, I love this person too much, I have to have them in my life. No, you could love them from a distance, love them, but keep the toxic stuff out of your life, because all it's going to do is make your life more miserable. You don't want to live your life miserable. Life is too short. Get happy, be happy, do what you have to do to make you happy. If you feel like every day is a stress, you don't want to wake up, you feel like you can't succeed in life, you feel like you can't do anything, there's some changes you have to do in yourself. Take some me time. Do what you have to do. Cut off these toxic people. Love them from a distance. I have no hard feelings against anybody that I cut off. I love you to death, but I'm cool. Like, that's the end result because I'm worrying about myself. That's how you have to have that mindset. Do what you have to do for yourself. Stop worrying about everybody else. Worry about yourself. And if you have children, worry about you, your children, and whatever you have going for yourself. Set goals. Like how my husband said, we wrote down a list. Set those goals and reach them.